Recording in progress.
You see, she caught you unawares even then. Welcome, everybody, to the Four Amigos once more. And we are going off on a ride and having a chat about why we and others go so public about our dementia and about our lives with dementia. And it could be writing blogs or tweets, or it could be speaking in public, lots of different forms. And I think it's fair to say we have at least one of the most prolific public speakers here and writers.
Is that yourself, George?
Of course. Yeah. How did you guess? So I'll leave it. Yeah. Let's just go.
Well, I'd like to start by saying there are hundreds of us who speak out. You know, it's not just the four of us. It's not just a handful. There are hundreds of us who speak out, who almost have the courage to speak out, because we all know that if you put your head above the parapet, then as well as positive recognition, you also get the negative as well. So I'll start off by saying that I began writing my blog simply for me. My blog is my memory. And this last 2 years, because everything has been online and not in person, I haven't been able to write in real time, except for when I go to Minds and Voices, like today. Minds and Voices is the only blog that is written in real time. So I've lost so many memories, because if it's online, I'm on my iPad and I can't type. So for me, my blog is my memory. And that's how I started initially.
Yeah. What about you? Gail, you blog a lot.
Yeah, I blog every day apart from weekend. I have a break at weekend. But I started pretty much after my diagnosis. And it was like a release for me. I could put down into words how I was feeling. And also I was hoping that I was going to let others know what it was actually like to live with early onset dementia. So for me, it was helping myself and also wanting to help others.
Just let me interrupt and say, how do you think reading a blog about your young onset dementia, or for that matter mine, or for that matter anybody else's, is actually a help? Do you not think it might be putting people off the idea of getting a diagnosis?
I try to keep it as positive as I can. I do tell about the bad days that we have, but I also tell about the things that we can still do and the things that we can still learn. And I think for me, that was one of the main things, because you're told when you get your diagnosis that this is the end. For me, I wanted to prove that it's not the end. It's just a new chapter. And so I've always been a crafty person. And
very crafty.
Very crafty.
Very crafty. And I wanted to carry on still doing my crafts.
In fact, not to be trusted at all.
And
so don't believe anything she says here.
It's just, why couldn't I carry on doing my crafts just because I've got a diagnosis of dementia? I get muddled up with making my cards and doing the folds, But you
How many
find
fingers
it-
have you got left, Gail?
How many what?
Fingers have you got left?
They're still all here. Yes.
So there's proof, folks, that you can do craft and cut
Yes.
things
There's
without
still-
cutting yourself.
Yeah. And it's just and obviously learning new things. And in lockdown, we all came together learning one another's crafts and skills and having a go at things. And so talking about that in my blog and putting photos on the things that we'd done, the things that we'd made, drawn, whatever. It's just a more positive way to look at things.
Yeah. Dory, you don't blog, do you?
No, I don't know how to blog. And,
Well, okay. But you
I wouldn't have a clue.
you
where
do quite a
to
lot of
start.
talking. I mean,
I-
proper speaking. I mean, you know.
Yes. When I got diagnosed, I'd never met anybody with dementia. And I was just going by what the professionals said, really, that, you know, you can't do this and you got to go to a day centre. And it wasn't until I met someone living with dementia and living a positive, had a positive outlook on it. Not that there's anything positive about getting dementia, but then again, there is, because
It's still
anyway,
alive.
it wasn't, yeah.
It's
And
having that different outlook, isn't it?
yes, it's given me a different life. And I must say, actually, it's a better life than I had before. Because it's given me, I think because I'm speaking out and trying to educate others, also peer support, you know, being part of a group of, and just supporting people on the ground in their everyday lives with dementia. Give me sort of a purpose as well. So I think, you know, I do it to help in the peer support part, but also to try and tell the professionals that it's not the end. And sometimes I'll challenge what they say. Let them see it from a different point.
How about you, George?
Um,
Because you do lots as well. Come on. In your own area, you must be known.
I am. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I blog. I started blogging, I think, probably over a bottle of wine, something like 6 years ago, in a very rickety caravan when we were having some work done at home, and and I also, I think I started Twitter at the same time, and
Me too.
Yeah. You are. Twitter, you see, brings people together as well. We can have side effects, but by and large, the thing is, I mean, before I go any further into what I've done, I think, as you said, Wendy, whenever we do anything in public or which becomes public, we put our heads above the parapet. But most of us, for 99% of the time, we only hear the positives back from people saying, thanks so much for saying that. I thought that, but it was good to hear someone else confirm it. And that's the way I've always found as well. Because my sort of intrinsic lack of self-confidence that I've sort of had to cope with all my life has always meant that I've been wary of thinking that I could know better than someone else. And yet, by talking to all these people like yourselves and others, I've learned that what I'm thinking and finding in life is slightly different, but at the same time, it's intrinsically the same as what everybody else is experiencing at some stage. And that gives me great confidence to go on doing it, because I know and I think rather like what Dory just said, and Gail, we want others to know that you can live positively, that the negative stereotypes are myths, and ignore them. And when we occasionally come up against certain professionals in the south of the country who seem to question whether we even have dementia, we know that there's going to be quite a backlash. Like yesterday's little episode of exchanging tweets about this guy who I'm not going to name him on this because
that's all right. I've named him on my blog tomorrow.
yeah, well, I don't want to get sued, Wendy.
Name and shame, that's what I say.
But you know, he's a consultant geriatrician psychologist or something, and I've actually exchanged tweets with him a year or two ago as well about this, and his belief seems to be that unless you are virtually incapable of doing anything, and that very end stage of the disease, you don't have dementia, and that most of what we say, or rather, no, we've been told by professionals that we have dementia, but it's due to his view that he said to me a while ago was it's due to other things like stress and anxiety that causes brain changes. Well, there may well be some truth in that. I don't know. It doesn't alter the fact that we have the symptoms we have the brains that we have that are scanned, and that we have a degree of dementia, or in other words, brain disease, and we're somewhere along it. Yeah. And all four of us and lots of others really want to challenge the stereotypes and to make people realise that it's as simple as life has not ended. Life can be actually really good fun.
Yeah.
And even better, as Dory said.
Yeah. And I think I've heard this gentleman a few years ago saying the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
So what are they saying? That their profession are giving out the wrong diagnosis to all these people then?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they're doing the brain scans and that and giving us this diagnosis. So are they wrong all the time?
Well, I mean, if he had his way, I don't know, 90% of the people with diagnoses would not be diagnosed.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't get any support. We wouldn't get any of those pills that help to keep some of us going. You know, crazy.
A few years back, he wrote a paper naming me.
Oh, right.
For a journal, professional journal. And I got it in my head that two others were named as well, but I won't say their names.
I think there were. It was when he was attacking people like you and Chris and co. for standing up on platforms and speaking.
Well, I was lucky insofar as I had a professional ally who was also a professor and is also the same, whatever title he has.
Yeah.
But she wrote a counter paper for the same journal, counteracting what he said.
Yeah.
It seems like he, in his own personal life, has had a bad experience with dementia, whether it be for parents, in-laws, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so he's fixated with his personal experience.
Yeah.
But he's using his professional standing to criticize us for being able to talk, basically, being able to do what we do.
Yeah.
Where the good point in case about peer support was this morning, because I can't feel anger anymore. I'm in floods of tears. So, he would see that as weakness.
Mm.
But I went to Minds and Voices, and immediately my mood just lifted. My mood was just joyous when I left, because we'd had such a fabulous time. So the power of peer support at counteracting that negativity far outweighs the negativity that he gets out.
And there's a gentleman in like-minded in mould that comes to our group, and he's in later stages. He's in his 80s, and he's such a joker.
Yeah.
And he just says, if I can make somebody laugh in a day, I've done a job. I mean,
exactly.
And he just doesn't stop joking. And it's lovely to see him laughing. And he's in late stages, but he gets up and he has a dance.
In Minds and Voices, we're all at different, we say there is no age in Minds and Voices. We're just there.
Stages.
Yeah.
And so everybody's at a different stage there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. It's that non-judgmental atmosphere that relaxes you.
So
so you didn't say why you blog, George.
Oh, sorry. Why do I blog? Well, it's just literally just to challenge myths, stereotypes. Sometimes it's response to reading something. Sometimes it's a response to just having had a bad day, or for that matter, a good day that reminds me of something that I want to write about. I mean, I tend not to just retell what I've done. I tend to explore feelings or aspects of dementia.
And I think that's good that we're all different. In how we blog, because again, that shows the variety. It shows the individuality.
At some stage I was going to ask you, Wendy, to talk about your books, and I mean, it could be as simple as what drove you to write them, or it could be what do you think. What have you wanted? Is there something you've particularly wanted to address? For example, in the second book, that's just come out, available, online, at a price.
Well, going back to why I blog, I said that was just for me. And I never realized that other people would want to read it. It never occurred to me that other people would want to read it. And as the years went by, I realized that there was that thirst for knowledge from the outside world, wanting to enter our world. The first book was written, again, purely for me. It was written because I wanted to write a book. We all had that. Well, I had a dream of wanting to hold a book that said by Wendy Mitchell on it. My second book was more with more of a purpose for enabling so many more voices to be heard, and to show people that it's not just me that does things positively. Look at all the other people, so their stories, their anecdotes, their experience. And yes, we all have those rubbish days. But if you only look, I wanted people to see that if you only look at the rubbish of dementia, then that's when you sink. And you have to see the positives in life in general to enjoy life.
Dory?
I'd like to say, Wendy, just in my group, because we've set up a little library, and I've took all my copies of all the books I've got, and your 2 books are there, and one of the wife of one of the gentlemen that comes, he's got the dementia, and she took the first book first, and then she took the second book, and she's gone out and bought two copies. And she said she, especially the second copy, has really helped her understand her husband. She's always looked at it from her point of view, really. And reading your book has made her understand how he is feeling with it, and that he's opening up a lot more.
Things like that make it worthwhile. Worthwhile.
And that's only one person, you know.
Give her a hug from me.
I shall.
Gail?
If I could just add one more thing. A nurse on Twitter today, amidst all the storm of all the other stuff, a nurse commented, having just read my book, to say how they got it so wrong. And now, they were admitting they got it so wrong and now wanted to change.
Yeah.
And that, from a professional, makes it so worthwhile as well.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I feel the same when I have someone at the end of a talk or something say, I get it now.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Gail, you often blog about visits to the zoo or I could say seaside, but since you're at the seaside, it's the beach. So what do you? This is not criticism, but why do you think you do that?
It's
to show your wonderful photos.
Yes.
And she enjoys it.
Yeah, it's my happy place. It's a place where I feel more relaxed than anywhere else. Even than home, I feel more relaxed outdoors with nature or on the beach or at the zoo or at the park than I do at home. It's just so relaxing, and I wish more people would do it because they would find out just what it is actually like. And I think because we have dementia, we have the time to stand and watch and take everything in, every noise, every smell, every sound, and it's just absolutely amazing.
What is life if, full of care, we have no time to stand and stare?
I realised why I love being outside so much is living alone, inside, dementia is my only company. That's what it feels like. It feels like I'm surrounded by it. Whereas outside, I can let dementia float. You know, it's as though I can disperse it and make it weaker.
And I think, you see, what you both just said is what sometimes can make people question whether you have dementia. Because, oh my God, you can both take photographs, really nice ones. Oh, Lord, you can still go for walks. Oh, my God. You know, and so I think it's great for Gail, for example, to combine the two. I mean, I know that recently, Gail, you've written quite a few where you've been describing the downsides. And for example, the confusion that can stem from Zooming. And I know, you know, people here who in the Riversiders group who can't Zoom because they can't cope with seeing different faces in front of them, especially when you go up from 4 to 8 or 9 or something. Oh, Wendy. Oh, Wendy. What have you done? Fallen over, Duck? You've fallen out of bed?
No, my battery was nearly out. I hadn't realised. I've just plugged me in.
Don't worry, Duck. All our batteries are nearly out now. Sorry, go on, Dory.
I did a film on the allotment, didn't I, for Flint Council for direct payments.
God, you'll do anything for anyone for money, won't you?
But I have been asked by other people to do, would I do videos of on the garden, like gardening stuff? And I don't really want to, because that's my happy place. And I don't want to bring dementia there with me, if you know what I mean.
Tell you what, go on.
Just coming back to why I walk, I just thought as well, when I also go outside and I'm walking, nobody knows I have dementia.
Yeah.
They've no idea, you know. There's the odd 1 or 2 people that know, and that's it. So they just treat me normally. But some people that find out that you have dementia will avoid you. So that's another reason why I like being outdoors, because people don't know me outside. So I'm just Gail.
I can get totally lost. Not lost as in don't know where I am, but just immersed in what, you know, what's in front of the camera, what I'm looking at. I can just forget anything rubbish and just immerse myself in that moment.
It's just another world.
It is. So why we do what we do is for a variety of reasons, just as in anything else. But we all gain something from it.
And we all aim to give something as well.
Exactly. It works 2 ways.
What about this business of training, speaking at training sessions? How do you find that? If you can stay awake, Dory. I saw that yawn.
Not yawning.
Yeah, it was a yawn.
Yawning.
I find those some of the most rewarding things to do, because I mean, it depends on your audience, of course, but when I do it with healthcare staff in hospitals, that's when I get the real buzz going. And like last week, I visited a supported care complex, which sounds odd thing to put together in the same phrase. supported care complex. However,
No, that sounds good.
it- what
Oh, you're frozen now.
No, I haven't.
Oh,
I'm just trying to work out what you just said. Anyway, it has quite a lot of people in with dementia. It was built about 5 years ago, and there are about 60 flats and a few little bungalow type dwellings. It's in our one of our local towns, Oswestry, and I went there to talk about setting up a peer group, deep group, effectively. But also part of the reason was to get feedback from people in care, even if it's not full care, it's supported care, on our plans in Shropshire for dementia care. So it was sort of double-edged. But I tell you what, I went there. I didn't think I was expected to do a talk. I thought it was just a chat. Turned into a bit of a talk. And the response was phenomenal. There was all sorts of different people from different, levels or strata in society, whatever. But I mean, to a person, I was going to say to a man, I didn't mean that. To a person, they were saying, it's so good to hear someone talking openly about it and honestly about it, because we're all frightened of saying anything to someone who we see stumble or can't remember a word, because we don't want to feel we're saying something that might be hurtful. And I came away with a tremendous feeling of warmth. And I'm going back. They will be starting a group. And at one stage, someone said, "We used to have an art group," and I said, "Oh, I like doing art." And so she said, "Oh, we haven't been able to do it since COVID," and I understand that. I said, and she turned to one of the staff and said, "Can we start that again?" And I said, "Hang on, why can't you just do it anyway? You don't need a member of staff, do you? Because these people are only supported care if they need support."
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I thought, oh, and then towards the end, afterwards, in fact, I was talking with one of the staff, who's the activities person there, about the layout of the room and what we'd done. We were sitting more fairly conventionally around in a big, not circle but close, which is not a great way of doing things, I find, because nobody really wants. It's a bit of a sort of embarrassing sort of situation. So he said, "Well, what would be better?" And I said, "I tell you what, ask the people what they want, how they want it."
Yeah.
And I thought, it wasn't rocket science, but I was sort of breaking ground a little bit, and that really is worthwhile.
It is.
Yeah.
I think you've hit the nail on the head with oh, come on. And we have to realise that, the people who do get it are a tiny percentage. We're in that world, and where we know lots of people who get it.
Yeah.
But actually, in the grand scheme of things, it's a tiny fraction of people. And so when we do go, just down the road to, I don't know, the local hospital or whatever, there'll be people there that have never heard people with dementia speak, never heard anything, so we've still got an awful long way to go, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. We have. And that's why we keep doing it, I think.
Yeah.
It's not as bad. I know it's still a long way to go, but I think we've come a long way as well from what it, years and years ago, but still lots. We still need to saddle up them horses.
Yeah.
I sometimes think about the Admiral nurses being rolled out. It's taken a long time for them to get beyond about 150 or something. And all of a sudden, in the last 3-4 years, it's mushrooming. So they're up to 300 now, and there are lots more services coming online and being developed. So, you know, commissioners are beginning to realise that actually that is what we should have.
Yeah.
And if they are, then that's one barrier down. There's still miles to go yet, I know. But, you know, at least the bruise on the forehead is not quite as big as it used to be.
Yeah. And it's nice to see. I love it when new people, you know, like yourself, Gail, when you suddenly appeared, it was like a breath of fresh air. You know, having new people.
Breath of bloody cold sea air.
But it's lovely to think that there are people coming after us, you know, because we can't go on forever.
No, that's right, actually. Yeah.
And it's good to see this. I would have called it succession planning at work. I can't think of another word now.
Reproduction, dear, reproduction.
But yeah.
After all, Gail's young enough to be my daughter, just about.
Yeah.
No, actually, not quite, to be fair.
Yeah, well, I used to do, before lockdown, I used to do talks at the local hospital about with dementia. Yeah. And the shock on people's faces when you start talking and I'm living with dementia, and you can see the faces drop and they go, you've got dementia. I didn't realise it was you that had dementia.
Yeah.
You know, and then afterwards, when they come up and say, thank you very much for saying that, I didn't realise that this happened or that happened. Yeah. So I miss that really in a way, but one day we'll get back to it.
Yeah.
I'm often asked the question, don't you get nervous standing up and talking, or, you know, all the things that we do? And I always say no, because people's expectation of what we can say is so low that anything we say is a bonus. So why, there's no point in getting nervous.
But equally, the first time you do it, you might feel nervous. The second time, less so. And then the third time, well, I've done it before, I'll do it again.
Yeah.
And I can, like probably all the rest of you, I can now, when I have to, trot it all out. You know, I can immediately tap into what I'm going to say. It may be different each time, but it'll be along the same lines. I can talk for, I get lost if someone asks me a question about something I wasn't expecting. But
it's the unexpected that throw you.
Yeah, that's right. Back to
that's when
routine
you
again.
wing it, you see.
Yeah. Well, I just change the subject and start talking about something I do know. Just like a politician.